If you haven't done it already, go claim your $125 from the Equifax settlement. If you want to. This is not legal advice. I'm not your lawyer. This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below. All right, so our first story that we're talking about today, if you go to this website, you can check to see if you have been part of the Equifax data breach. And then if you have been, as you can see here, our records indicate your personal information was likely impacted by this incident. It says regarding my name and social security information that I just put into the form before stream because I didn't trust myself to do it properly in front of you. So if you go to this website, which is equifaxbreachsettlement.com, you can check if you have had your information stolen and you can file a claim. And why am I telling you all of this? Because they owe you about $125. So anybody who's been affected can pretty much automatically get $125 or at least claim $125 here on the site. And I don't know, here, let me do this off screen for a second. I'm going to click file a claim here. I just don't want it to auto-populate my social security number or anything like that. So it takes you to a page that says file a claim. You can click to file a claim online, or you can download a claim form. How about we download the claim form and do it that way? The claim form here, you must submit it no later than January 22nd, 2020. So that's next January. And the claim form says that you may get, if you are a consumer whose personal information was impacted by the Equifax data breach announced on September 7th, 2017, you may submit a claim at equifaxbreachsettlement.com. You can complete and mail this claim form, or there's a way to do it online, like we said. I don't know if we need to actually go through the process here, but you can actually fill out the whole form online there. This will be all in one place, though, without a bunch of other things to look at. You may submit a claim for one or more benefits, credit monitoring, or a $125 cash payment. Now, you might remember that some people who chose not to be part of the class and sue individually right away got between $800 and $3,000, depending upon how much they were impacted. Some people were impacted more than others. I imagine the people who were impacted most were people whose credit was good and their wealth is high, et cetera, et cetera. People who are more likely targets of these kinds of identity theft, because this wasn't a scam. This was a breach where 145 million people's social security numbers and other information was released. And so that's enough to start opening credit accounts and things like that. So people who have good credit would be able to then have their identity stolen, and someone could open the most credit with someone who has good credit and maybe high financial value or assets. They could then open a large value credit card or something. Now, hopefully the banks and credit card companies are looking for this, but fraud, a large amount of fraud is built into the system, somewhere around 5. It's in the double digits. It's in the 10% or teens. That's built in for fraud there. And you'll get strange answers from the companies when you try to talk to them about fraud sometimes. You might remember that Adam Savage and Janie Heineman were going to talk about vulnerabilities in the credit card system, and they very quickly were shut down and made very quiet about that. And that only came out much later in a chat session kind of thing. Continuing, you can also get cash reimbursement for time spent up to 10 total hours without documentation at $25 per hour, or 20 total hours if you provide supporting documents. I submitted a claim for something like 2 hours because I had spent some time figuring out how much the data breach affected me, and I've pulled my credit report a bunch of times since then to keep checking it to see if there's something wrong that I have to do anything about. I did find something wrong, but something unrelated to a breach. So that actually worked out in my favor there. But I did spend some time checking for that. So you get $25 per hour for that, up to 20 hours if you provide documentation. If you spent money trying to avoid or recover from fraud or identity theft, you can be reimbursed up to $20,000. You must submit documents supporting your claim. Up to 25% reimbursement for credit monitoring subscriptions. If you had paid for a credit monitoring subscription, you can get that restored up to 25%. No claim is required for identity restoration services. Consumers impacted by the Equifax data breach will be able to access identity restoration services for 7 years once the settlement is final. So you don't have to do this just to get identity restoration services, or rather, should we say that identity restoration services are separate. They're part of this, and you don't have to do anything special to get them. If you've had your identity stolen, you can go after this. Claims must be submitted by 1/22/2020. You provide your name, aliases, mailing address, phone number, email, year of birth. You can opt for credit monitoring or a cash payment. If you claim 10 hours or less, you just have to describe your actions and you'll get $25 per hour for your time spent trying to recover from fraud or identity theft. I did have my identity stolen and a whole bunch of weird fraud things happen a few months after this happened. And who knows whether it's from their data breach or somebody else's, but this was the only one that I know I was affected by. If you claim more than 10 hours, you must describe the actions you took in response to the data breach and include supporting documents showing fraud, identity theft, or other misuse of your personal information. And so there's the form. You can either write it in there or provide something attached, I'm sure. They allow you to fill in a form online if you want to do it online. Costs for freezing or unfreezing your credit report, credit monitoring or identity theft protection, Equifax credit or identity theft monitoring subscriptions, cost, expenses, or losses due to identity theft, fraud, or misuse, professional fees paid to address identity theft, or other expenses such as notary, fax, postage, copying, mailing, etc. You can receive your payment by check, but it must be cashed within 90 days. You can also receive a prepaid card which never expires. And then you sign it, and I'm assuming that you're providing some sort of under penalty of perjury or something like that. It's 145 million Americans, so you darn well bet you've been affected if you're an adult who has any sort of credit history. Even if you don't have much of a credit history, you're in Equifax's system. And that's always been something that I've been upset about. I don't mean I'm like losing sleep over it here, but like on some level, I think I should be able to say, I don't want you to collect data and report on me to a credit monitoring service like Equifax. Like they are taking third-party reports. Like they're taking, it's Equifax is not the one monitoring my record. They're also monitoring my record, but they're more so like my judicial record, my court record, but they're also monitoring complaints that they've received from creditors. However, you or I couldn't just call them up and say that Discover Card hasn't paid their bill, and then Discover Card gets their credit dinged. So you see what I'm upset about there? It's not an equal system. It's a one-way system. So unless I can call up and say, hey, I've got paperwork from, Equifax that says you owe me money and they haven't paid the money, so let's ding their credit because they haven't paid for 90 days. That should work that way, but it doesn't. Anyway, so nor do I like knowing that I have to keep track of somebody else's reporting on me, that I have to go pull my credit because they kept an inaccurate record to begin with. I think that's all just kind of dumb. They're profiting off of keeping potentially inaccurate information about people. Sure, if you want to opt into that system, but I don't remember opting into that system. And frankly, after the 2008 crash, I really am not in any hurry to get back in bed with credit card companies. I have one travel credit card that we use to help pay for the, get the rewards and stuff to go see Kaylee in Scotland. Now it will be Luxembourg. Can I announce this? So Slate published an article that said, I think it was titled something like, you owe it to yourself to claim... it's your moral obligation, I think it was. It's your moral obligation to claim the $125 from Equifax. Because they should have to pay every last cent for that. I don't even know that $125 a person is really the proper amount, but it looks like it's $125 a person plus a little extra if your identity has actually been stolen. Plus, if you have other major losses from an actual identity theft situation, it looks like that's covered too. They have I think it looks like unlimited identity theft recovery services for 7 years. So I guess that's good. What do you think of that? How do you guys feel, Brandon and Tactical?
There were Canadians that were affected, and I'm wondering if they are also eligible. I was not affected as far as I know, so I couldn't claim it if I wanted to. But yeah, I wonder if any Canadians can do that.
Let's see here. There's an FAQ on the Equifax breach settlement website, and I'm just going to page through it real quick. They'll have to pay at least $380,500,000, which is still a lot of money, but doesn't seem like enough. Because remember, your identity is worth a measly $2 and some cents if nobody claimed these $125. So go claim your $125, settlement amount from these people. You were looking for whether or not this affected people outside of the U.S. So far, I don't see anything in here that says only for United States. So United States District Court is one of them. That's it. I don't see any limitation here saying United States. And you can also reject the settlement. If you object, you must send a letter stating that you object. You must include this information, a statement with the reasons you object, accompanied by any legal support. You can be represented by a lawyer and have them speak at the fairness hearing. Where is the fairness hearing? Oh, there will be a fairness hearing. Okay, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear about this fairness hearing. There will be a hearing 12/19/2019, 10 a.m. before Judge Thrash in the Northern District of Georgia, courtroom 2108 of the Russell Federal Building Courthouse, 75 Ted Turner Drive, Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia 30303. The hearing date may be moved. Please refer to the settlement website for notice of any changes. So if you want to go to the fairness hearing and tell them what you think, you can do that too. So what do you think of that? If you haven't done it already, go claim your $125 from the Equifax settlement. If you want to, this is not legal advice. I'm not your lawyer. And if you do claim this settlement, you're precluding or eliminating or releasing all other claims. And you're not going to be able to sue Equifax for anything, except maybe get those identity recovery services if you later on, within 7 years, find out that your identity was stolen and you need to recover from that. It seems like there's something in there for that.
The turnaround was kind of quick, actually. Wasn't it about a year ago that
it was 2017?
Oh, okay. So it was 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I know time's starting to fly, huh? As we get old. It was the May-July 2017 data breach. 145.5 million U.S. consumers and British residents and Canadian residents. So yeah, it looks like it's British and it's anybody who was affected by it, not just American citizens or whatever. The attack was slated to have begun in mid-May, but the breach was not caught until July 29th. And then there were, I think there was some confusing information released by them as well, so it was difficult to know how bad of a problem it was. So yeah, claim your $125 and make your claims for your hourlies or your costs or whatever. Don't lie. That's not going to help anybody, but definitely make sure you claim every penny that you're entitled to. And that is our show, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Let us know what you think in the comments below. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Thank you to our supporters for July on patreon.com/ljfrench and sponsus.org/law. For July, We have a $500 supporter, Joshua Davis. We'll be talking about his TandaPay social insurance product next week. We have the $50 plus supporters. Thank you to John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Kyle Mudrak, Eevi, Michael Pearce, Richard Fournier, Spirit Bear, Jan Negrey, Daniel Perez, and Snorre Wisotzky. And thank you to the $5 plus supporters who are scrolling on the LED panel behind me and appear in the description of the videos that drop. I am Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. I will see you in the videos that drop this week. Love you all. Bye.